I'm proud to unveil the logo design for Abolish ICE, one of the 6 snowplows named by Chicagoans this year.
America, you already know who Sheridan Gorman is, an 18-year-old freshman walking near a lake at 1 a.m, shot in the head by a Venezuelan illegal alien her city had been shielding for 2 years. What you haven't seen is Brandon Johnson's complete record. Not one choice, 3 choices in 19 days, while the Gorman family waited for a phone call that never came. But the 3 choices are only half the story. Before he made any of them, he built a system that made all of this necessary.
We have to end the assaults against working people. We have to end the assaults against immigrants and end these endless wars. We have to get active. First of all, we have to make sure that we're participating in our democratic process. We've already seen elections shift around this country, so things are happening. We have signed multiple executive orders to force ICE out of the city of Chicago.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Before we go through what Brandon Johnson chose to do, understand who he chose over Sheridan Gorman, because she deserves that.
She loved people. She was positive, enthusiastic, and full of life.
I should be planning her wedding, her college graduation, her bachelorette party, arguing with her about dresses, not standing here trying to figure out how to say goodbye to my baby sister.
Her sister said I should be planning her bachelorette party. That's who this is about. Keep that sentence in your mind throughout everything that follows this, okay? Jose Medina crossed illegally May 2023, requested deportation to Colombia. They bussed him to Chicago instead. In June 2023, he stole $132.50 from the State Street Macy's. Misdemeanor shoplifting charge occurred there. He stopped showing up to court. An outstanding warrant was issued, and nobody went looking for Jose Medina. He stayed 1 block away from the pier, where he would later ambush Sheridan. The warrant wasn't overlooked. It was a direct result of 3 laws Johnson named in his own press conference when reporters asked him to apologize. The Welcoming City Ordinance, 40 years old, passed under Chicago's first black mayor, prohibits city police from cooperating with ICE. The Illinois Trust Act bars sharing criminal information with immigration agents without a federal criminal warrant. The Safety Act limits pretrial detention coordination with federal agencies. 3 locks, 1 door. Medina walked through all 3 after the murder. Johnson stood at the podium and cited all 3 as his defense for not calling the Gorman family. He didn't stumble into a broken system. He built this one. A year before Sheridan was killed, this man was standing alone with a warning that nobody wanted to hear.
I had an op-ed on Fox last week, and basically explained that I knew this was going to happen, and I've been sort of for a year trying to get anyone to listen, that we need to reassess and relook at our policies. That's what leadership is, and we don't have it in Illinois. So I take no satisfaction in that op-ed that I wrote for Fox News. It's heartbreaking. I know exactly kind of what they're going through right now. I understand the sleepless nights that they're going to have for months. I had that as well. Your mind plays these unbelievable tricks on you, particularly when you're trying to sleep. So I was just trying for a year now to give this warning, and there have been others outside of Sheridan. But Illinois, I know the media in Illinois is beholden to Governor Pritzker, his money, his access. So you don't hear a lot of it coming out of Illinois, but especially after last week's Senate hearing I was at, it's even more salt in the wound from Illinois leadership here.
Now, here are the 3 choices Brandon Johnson made once the system he built produced exactly what it was built to produce. March 25th, 4 days after the murder, a reporter asked whether the snowplow unveiling should be reconsidered. Brandon Johnson said, "This tragedy is not going to deter us from our work. In fact, it's going to challenge us to double down." You already saw his words from that podium, proud. When asked about reconsidering, his answer was double down. March 28th, Sheridan Gorman's private funeral in Yorktown, New York. Her family buried her that day. Same day, Johnson was on stage in Chicago, Listen to the choice he made on the day that she was buried.
We are protecting the working people of this city, and we're sending a clear message that we're going to end this assault against working people. We're going to end these assaults against immigrants, and we're going to end these endless wars and stand up for our democracy. Are you with me, Chicago?
Are you with me, Chicago? Says Brandon Mohawk Johnson. Her family was in Yorktown. They never got to answer. He never called them. Not on March 19th, not on March 28th, not once. When a reporter confronted him about that directly for the second time, here's the full extent to what he said.
And here's what I'll do. Okay. Again, I will acknowledge the tragedy of the loss of life here. And, look, burying a child is something that no parent should have to do, especially as someone who is a parent.
She became, quote unquote, the tragedy of loss of life, a phrase with nothing in it. While he was refusing to say her name, he was in court fighting the federal government that had asked Chicago to hold her killer 2 years earlier.
Every single lawsuit that we have filed against the administration, we have prevailed. So the people united have demonstrated that our power is stronger and that we will prevail. And so we have to remain committed.
He's celebrating winning in a court against the same federal government that asked Chicago to hold Medina. His lawsuits and his policies are two sides of the same outcome. April 2nd, the formal public position landed. Johnson told reporters that if this was really about safety, the answer is comprehensive immigration reform policy, amnesty, not a review of the welcoming city ordinance, not a question about the outstanding warrant nobody enforced. Amnesty. 3 weeks, 3 choices, not one call to Yorktown. Johnson has a co-author in this story, and he signed 2 of the 3 locks himself. The Welcoming City Ordinance is a Chicago city law. The Trust Act and the Safety Act, those are Illinois state laws. J.B. Pritzker, Governor J.B. Big Bop Pritzker of Illinois, signed both. Both of those laws are part of the 3 shields that kept Medina in Chicago after the shoplifting charges. Then a reporter asked J.B. Big Bop Pritzker to respond to Gorman's family directly.
Well, this has been a terrible tragedy, and I know that the Gorman family has suffered mightily. I agree, there have been real failures. Those failures, of course, extend beyond the borders of Illinois. That's their national failures, a failure to have comprehensive immigration reform, a failure of the president to follow his own edict to go after the worst of the worst. And in my view, we have a lot of work that we need to continue to do, but it is the job of the federal government to go after immigration enforcement.
He signed 2 of the 3 laws and said the failures are beyond the borders of Illinois. Those 2 facts cannot coexist honestly in the same answer. Beyond the borders of Illinois. He signed the Trust Act. He signed the Safety Act. Both of those are Illinois law, not federal, not beyond any border. They live in a state house where J.B. Pritzker works. And the father who buried his own daughter before Sheridan gave both men their complete verdict in one answer.
Well, first of all, Mayor Johnson, I won't respond. He's an unserious, sort of a silly figure, so I will not respond to anything he's got to say. But Governor Pritzker, it's really amazing to me how he can speak out of both ends of his mouth. So he nullifies federal immigration law. He fights and denigrates ICE and Donald Trump like you couldn't believe.
And then he laid out exactly what Pritzker's position reversal looks like when you put both of his statements next to each other.
He couldn't find a microphone where he couldn't talk about how these Gestapo and jackbooted thugs and secret police are here in Chicago. But now after this, he needs to deflect, and he does that. That's the best quality he's got. What he'll say now is they didn't do their job. I mean, the hypocrisy, it's not even, I don't even know what you call it. It's way beyond hypocrisy, because what he's saying now is, President Trump, can you please send back your secret police, your Gestapo, and your jackbooted thugs, because you didn't complete the job the first time around.
2 men, 2 signed laws, 0 calls to the family. And their own statements on all of this is the clearest thing written about this case by anyone. The Gorman family released a written statement after Medina's detention hearing. At roughly the same time, Johnson was invoking civil rights history from the same rally stage. Listen to what he called what he was doing.
Those that came before us fought the same type of system that is trying to dominate us today. I'm so glad that they didn't give up on us. That's why we have civil rights. That's why we have the rights for women. That's why we have rights for immigrants. Folks are trying hard to roll back those rights. We have to ensure that we protect them and then, of course, grow them.
He compared protecting the policies that shielded Medina to the civil rights movement at a rally where Gorman's family was sitting in a courtroom listening to arguments about a man who killed their daughter. The Gorman family that same week said, "We sat in a courtroom and listened as the person accused of taking Sheridan's life was described through a lens of his background, his circumstances, and his struggles. And we heard a call for compassion, and we understand that instinct. Every life has a story, but we cannot lose sight of those simple, devastating truths at the center of all of this. Sheridan had a life too." And when the system fails, whether through release decisions, lack of coordination, or unwillingness to act, the consequences are not abstract. They are real. And in our case, they are permanent. Accountability must be complete. Permanent, complete. Those are not political words, guys. Those are the words from a family that lives inside the outcome of a policy Johnson is comparing to the civil rights movement. The man who already watched this happen before Sheridan did has one thing left to say about where this all goes.
I don't know how Illinois voters see this person as anyone that should be reelected.
Or to run for president, which it seems to be something he wants to do.
And Pritzker, who signed 2 of the 3 laws, is quietly positioning for a national audience while telling local reporters the failures are beyond Illinois borders. America, neither man has modified a single element of the 3 shields since the murder. Not one review of the welcoming city ordinance, not one question about the outstanding warrant, not one charge to the Trust Act or Safety Act. Both policies, guys, still sit in effect. Both men are still in office. Both have an election calendar approaching. The Gorman family asked for something specific. They called for accountability to be complete. Underlined complete there, which means all 3 locks, the ignored detainer, and the man who was put on a bus to Chicago when asked to go home. That's what complete looks like. Johnson gave them acknowledgement of tragedy. He gave them double down. He gave them amnesty. Sheridan Gorman's sister should be planning a bachelorette party or hanging out with their sister. That's what she said. That's the sentence that should follow Brandon Johnson into every single press conference, every campaign event, and every podium he stands between now and 2027. The receipts, they don't disappear when the news cycle moves. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.